Trail Seeker Adventures brings you to round 6 of both the US Sprint Enduro and the SXCS. We check it out, we jump on the bike, we take you out, show you what the cross test is all about, and then we hit the woods with the Enduro test.
And we both try to wrap up the Maryland State Off-Road Championship.
And then we show you how a slow race can turn ugly. Check it out. That's right, we're back in Westernport, Maryland, where we're checking out round 6 of the US Sprint Enduro, as well as round 6 of the SXCS. What a beautiful piece of property that we were able to come out and rip up some dirt. First on the track was Lane Michael. He had already wrapped up the championship on the last round, but he's coming out to show it was no fluke. Next out on the track was Liam Draper. He was looking good all weekend, and then Thad Duvall was back for the last round. And then we also had Austin Walton coming out to check out the US Sprint Enduro. That was the Pro class. Now in the Pro 2 we had Johnny Gerard, always looking good and fast. He already wrapped up his championship, but there were still points to be made for second, as Ben Nilko and Jesse Ansley battled for the second position for the year. Evan Smith and Brandon Poling was in the Pro 2 looking good. And now it's my turn. We're starting out on day 1 on the cross test. The cross test is a 3.5 mile course throughout a field, mostly a turn track. On day 1 it's US Sprint Enduro only, so we'll be doing 3 tests on this particular cross test, and then we'll also do 3 tests on the Enduro test, which would be the course throughout the woods. And then we'll do that again on Sunday, which will be a combined event, which will be US Sprint Enduro and also the SXCS. But it's also round 3 of the Maryland State Championship, which I'm involved in. You may ask yourself, what is the Maryland State Championship all about? You may or may not. You may not even care. But what it is, the SXCS had came up with a series to where they can offer their riders the opportunity to win a national championship. And how you do that is you have to race all 3 Maryland races with the SXCS. One will be a GP, which I had won. One will be a cross country, which I was winning until I hit a tree and busted the side case out of my 430 and lost all the oil. I had to come in and put duct tape down, run some JB Weld over it, go back out and finish the race, and I actually came in 4th. And this weekend is the Sprint Cross, which Sunday will be round 3 of the Maryland State Off-Road Championship. The tricky thing about that is there's no throwaways, so that's why it was so important for me to come in to do the maintenance on my bike so I can get back out and finish the race. I'm currently 2 points ahead, so there's no room for error. As I'm out here ripping up the cross test, that's in the back of my mind. This cross test is awesome. It's on a great piece of property. But as you can see, there is no ruts. It is grass, pretty slick in spots. And all I would need to do is go out here and crash and not be able to race on Sunday. And my Maryland State Championship off-road will be nothing but a memory. But today is Saturday. I need to focus on getting through the day. Currently, I am 2nd in the US Sprint Enduro. I cannot catch 1st, and 3rd cannot catch me. So really, we're wrapped up as far as the top 3. As you can tell, I am on my 2020 Beta 430RR race. I still have not done nothing to the suspension on this thing, but after this race, I have decided I have to get something done to it. It feels pretty good here on the smooth, fast, flowy cross test, but once we get up here clear to the end of the property, on the way back it gets pretty rough. I hit a rough section that bottomed the wheel clear up into the fender, and I'm sure you've heard me cry about it in the past, but I've been having some shoulder pain, and ever since I hit that rough spot, my shoulder was hurting the rest of the day. And from this test to the end of the day, I just kept getting slower and slower, because my main goal was to not screw up to where I can't come out and race on Sunday. Because on Sunday, it is going to be the last round of the US Sprint Enduro, but we're not even, well, we're a little bit halfway through the SXCS. Right here, right, bam, right there is where I hit, and it bottomed out, and my shoulder hurt the rest of the day after that. For some odd reason, the cross test, I usually come out and I look pretty good, and this day was no different. I came out and I was first. So once I got done with the cross test, I came back and looked at my results, and I couldn't believe it. Brian Johnson is the guy that beat me for the year and the overall for the points for this year in the US Sprint Enduro. He was 1 second behind me. And the class that I'm running this year is Senior A, which is 40 plus. I had 10 in my class this weekend. We had Dave Glenn, Tim Creeth. Tim Creeth is third for the year. He's behind me on the US Sprint Enduro. Jeff Flynn, he's the one I'm in points battle with for the Maryland State Championship. And then Jason Stolke, Roman Kilgar, he's third in the Maryland State Championship. Chris Hilly, Joey was here. We had a pretty good turnout for the 40 plus. It's a little tricky because you want to do as well as you can for the US Sprint Enduro, but it really didn't matter because we are where we are for the points, but still being the racer that I am. Brian Johnson's kicked my butt all summer, and I would like to at least try to beat him at 1. So at the end of this particular test, I'm ahead of him by 1 point. Of course, we go into the cross test or the enduro test, and we'll have to find out how that turns out.
So the cross test was pretty fun. I was feeling pretty good, got out, I was the first in my line, I was ripping on it for me. I mean, I was going pretty good. And about that time, my bike started sputtering. Now, at the beginning of this lap, Kenny said, hey, I got your bike filled up, it's filled up with gas, it's filled up with oil, it's ready to go. But, unfortunately, he didn't turn on the gas. I guess, technically, yes, it's my bike, and I need to make sure. So, of course, my bike died in the middle of the lap. So it took me a bit to figure that out, turn it on, then I had to do the choke, then I choke off. I really enjoyed the course, and I was excited because as the 2 days went by, my times got faster, which is always exciting.
So as we wrap up test 1, which is the cross test, which by the way was one of my favorite cross tests of the year. Not a lot of ruts, as you all know. I am not very good in ruts. We come in, give a thumbs up to one of my competition, and then I head back and give Heidi an update so she has an idea what to look forward to when she gets to go out and hit the cross test. Unfortunately, most of the time when she's hitting the cross test, I'm hitting the enduro test, and I don't get a lot of time to talk to her or see how she's doing. Agreed. I mean, I didn't wreck. It's always a positive.
Was it all pretty much?
So now it's the time that I'm not fond of, is waiting between tests. My anxiety level goes high. Heidi gets ready to go out and hit the course, and now it's my turn to go out and hit the enduro test and to show you what the enduro is all about. Nancy trying to give me some encouragement. Now it's time to get out and hit this enduro test and show you what round 6 of the US Sprint Enduro was all about. And it was about a little bit of everything. We had off cambers, uphills, downhills, we had field section, we had rocks. My bike felt pretty good through everything except the rocks. I was so slow. Maybe everybody was having issues with the rocks, but this bike, I could not get it to feel good throughout the rocks. We come out, we're dropping down the course that we came out of for round 5 of the SXCS. I'm sorry, I have not got that video out yet. I have been slacking. The truth about that is the SXCS put on so many things on the 4th of July weekend. I did get the 9 or 8 hour challenge out, the video for that. If you haven't seen that, that's a night race. It started at 6 in the evening till 2 in the morning. I did get that video out, but I do intend to get the round 5 SXCS cross country race. I will get that out. That's where I crashed, busted my case, had to get duct tape and JB weld on my clutch cover in order to get back out. But as you can see, this course had a lot of up and down. This hill here messed up a lot of people, but this is the type of track I love to go out and rip on. You had to think about it, find out which lines coming through here. There was a lower line that developed. It became faster than this middle line. This was all fresh trail. This property has not ever had a race on it. If I heard correctly, there you had to slow down to get between some trees. But Billy and the crew put on came up with an awesome track for us to come out here. I typically love rocks, but this beta, that's probably been both on the 300 RR and the 430 RR. Probably the worst thing I've been struggling with is getting comfortable with the rear shock. I'll get it to where I think it feels good, and then the next time I come out, it feels like crap. It just seems like you have to dial this thing in for every different type of terrain. When I ran the 450, Suzuki RMZ 450, it seems like I would get it dialed in and I barely ever touched it, hardly ever. But this thing, I cannot keep a screwdriver off of it, so I'll get it figured out. But we come out of the woods, coming down through a little field section. It had a couple little ditches that made you pucker a few times, come around, and now we're heading back into the woods, and this is where the rocks started. This is actually test number 4. So I have done a cross test. I came in and did an enduro test. I went down. I was first. I went back to second, and then we went back out for a cross test, and now we're back into the woods for the enduro test. So this is my second time running through the woods. After I came in from my first enduro test, my bike felt so bad I went out with a screwdriver. The SXCS usually puts out a practice track for you to come in. Right here is where I went down the first lap, or the first enduro. I went out with a screwdriver and I got adjusted where it did feel better, but coming through these rocks, and maybe everybody was dealing with it, right here is where I actually hit that tree. That tree is what caused me to bust my case 2 weeks earlier. Came through, hit a rock, it threw me over into a tree on the left side, and then I bounced off that tree and hit the tree on the right side, and my foot brake went through my clutch cover, put a big hole in it. But I'll get that video out hopefully next week. Sorry about being a slacker. One of the reasons why I wasn't really in a hurry to get the video out, because I was having camera issues getting the right angle. I would start with a good angle, somehow my handlebar or gas tank or foot or knee or something would hit the camera and jack it up, and then all you would see is the bottom of my helmet. But the Trail Seeker Adventure technical crew had came up with a new device, which basically is some foam that goes in behind the camera and it keeps the camera where it needs to be. And let me know what you think about this camera angle. It's about the best I can get without my helmet up there bouncing around. This was the famous mile marker 2. It got very rough throughout the day. I come around here, the last thing I'm expecting is to see Mr. Johnson. I'm just trying to run a safe, smooth course, and there he is. He just went down. Got his bike picked up and get it rolling again. And I'm like, this is just like, I told him I wasn't too disappointed to see him laying on the middle of the track whenever I came around the corner. That may not be very nice, but as a racer, and I've been chasing this guy off and on throughout the whole summer, and just to get behind him and watch him ride, it's good just to be able to see. But we basically chase each other back to the finish. In case this is the first time you've seen one of our videos, we are Trail Seeker Adventures. Heidi and I, we drive the video camera, we take it out with us on every event that we go to, whether it's a race event, whether it's going to a ride park or Hatfield McCoy's. We take it out with us while we go hiking, mountain biking, whatever it has to do with a trail. We take the camera, and that way we bring the information back to you, and hopefully you can find something that is suitable for you to get out, whether it's a hike, mountain bike trail, or a race event. This is the SXCS, also the US Sprint Enduro. In both of these series, one thing we want to try to bring out is if you're a beginner rider, this is the perfect series for you. You don't have to worry about getting ran over by everybody lapping you. You are able to come out and ride your own race. Every 15 seconds, a rider gets to hit the trail and go out and do the best they can without making mistakes. If that's what you're looking for, is somewhere to go ride, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, and that way you won't miss a single event. That guy screwed you up pretty bad?
Nah,
No?
I screwed myself up.
Oh yeah.
Falling in them damn rocks.
You just went down?
Oh yeah, 3 times.
Oh, you hit down 3 times?
Boom, boom, boom,
In
boom.
the same spot?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not like last race, no.
Oh, okay.
That last test I felt like forever.
You fell here on the
I'm
cross?
talking about last race.
Oh.
Where like on Saturday I fell, I picked it up, I fell, I picked it up and the guy on the gas hit me on the back, kicked me over to the side, and then I went through the woods, and there's those big trees. I fell again. That was on Saturday when I like went real, like, but yeah.
You picked it up on Sunday though.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, good job though, bud.
You too, man.
That's one thing I love about woods racing. We are competitors, but off the track, we can talk and have fun. Roman's one of my good friends. We battle just about every weekend with the SXCS or the US Sprint Enduro. We go out and we tell each other, you know, good lines or walk the track together. It's just a good family atmosphere. What? Are you feeling depressed? Well, I might be back in first. He fell that last race and I caught, or that last lap and I caught him. He was 15 seconds ahead of me. I don't know, no, I'm probably still second.
He's trying to stay steady.
Is there any way just to, like, remember an AWS over lot is I wasn't feeling the best this weekend, but the enduro track, every lap I kept getting better and finding good lines. It was definitely flowy, technical, rocky, some uphills, but great track. If you don't know, these weekends are packed with all kind of events, and now it's time for the slow race, just up my alley. So it's time for the women's race, and Nancy was like, all right, we got to do it. She beat me last time, so I thought, all right, here we go. So I'm lining up, and I look over, and there's a pro male rider, Liam Draper, and I'm like, and on the other side is Rachel Goodish, who is a pro women. So I'm like, oh gosh. So we get ready to go, and Liam takes off, and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. So I just kind of go forward in front of everybody, even though it's a slow race, and whoever dabs their foot loses, and the last person not to dab wins. So I kind of jump out in front, and you can hear Kenny saying, go slow! And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. So I go for a while, and then I hear Billy saying, you won! And he's like, I'm like, I beat Nancy? Like, cool. Well, then Liam comes up, and he thinks I lost because I stopped, and he thinks he won. And then he asked Billy a couple times, like, what did he win? And Billy had to explain that was the women's class, and the adult class was next. So that was pretty funny. But it was cool to win, and the only time I'll ever beat a pro. And yep, that's my story.
Good job, sweetie. Now it's my turn. As you see, I line up right beside Liam Draper myself, and we all know he's fast, but we're about to find out how slow he is. So I'm on my Beta 300RR. One thing I haven't practiced with this thing is going slow, but I want to see what I can do. And the last SXCS series race, which was a cross country, they had a slow race as well. I did not race it, as Heidi was just saying. Nancy won the female class. I was watching it, and I found out that this particular race can get a little out of control. They say the only rule is you're not allowed to touch the ground, and you got to go straight. You can't go in circles. But they were encouraging, I would say, defensive riding. You're allowed to push each other, block each other, knock each other over. So my goal was to just try to stay away from everybody. So the flag is gone. I've got people coming towards me. Liam Draper is to my left, and actually now probably behind me. I see Dave Redmond. He was the winner from the last race. So I'm trying to avoid everybody. Billy's up here. He almost won the last event, but Dave Redmond was able to go slower than him. So we're starting to funnel in to where I knew it was going to get pretty tight and people was going to start getting reckless. So I'll come up and I try to bump Billy to knock him over, but that was like hitting a stone. But Liam Draper, he comes up and starts, I think he still is a little mad because he didn't beat the female or get anything for winning the female class. Well, he knocks about everybody over, but I'm still going. I think I'm good. I'm like, oh, I might have this. Then I look back and see Dave Redmond. He's still behind me. So I had an idea. I'd come up here, and when I lean my wheel against this stake and just sit there and wait for him. Well, the stake is like a wet noodle. That didn't work out for me. So Dave obviously has already won because I got my feet on the ground. But you know, I come up, me and Dave, we battled back and forth a few times, and I thought I'd try to get him on the ground, but I couldn't do it. I get up here, I push on him, and he is like a rock solid rider. So he wins. Good job to Heidi and Dave Redmond for winning the slow race. Well, after the race, our activities were all done. We looked like we was going to get some rain in It got windy, but the rain held off, and now it's day 2. This is the SXCS round 6. This is the last round of the US Sprint Enduro, and this is the last round, round 3 of the Maryland State Off-Road Championship. So we're getting ready to go out and hit the cross test. The goal is to go as fast as you can without making mistakes. And it's kind of funny, I think I'm really ripping out here, but then when I come back and watch this video, I can see many places where I should have ran in a little deeper, hit the gas a little sooner. As you can see, the grass is mostly gone. It's mostly just dirt now. There's a fine edge there to where you can get dirt, but go out into the cushion to where you have like a little bit more traction, but you don't want to get out there too far in the deep stuff. As you can see, this ground is pretty hard. I'm using the Michelin tire medium, both front and rear. It's doing really well. But with there not being any ruts, you definitely wanted to be careful with traction. By this time, we all pretty much got the course figured out. On day 1, I kind of went out and did pretty good first few tests, other than I went down on the enduro test. But as far as time and my competition, I was doing pretty good. I ended up second on day 1, but I could tell that number 221, Joel, was getting faster every time he hit the course. And on day 2, it was either Brian Johnson, Joel, or myself. We were back and forth the entire day. I was able to hold him off for the overall. I got second for the weekend on the US Sprint Enduro, but on day 2 for the SXCS, I ended up third. Brian Johnson took home the win on both days, but Joel was able to beat me out by about 10 to 15 seconds, and I ended up third on day 2. But the good thing is that I did make it to day 2, and I was able to come out and finish the day third in the SXCS, which is the 3rd round of the Maryland State Championship, and I was able to win the Maryland State Championship. Jeff Flynn was able to finish 6th for the SXCS, which was on the day 2 of this weekend. And that, with those points, he was able to finish 2nd in the Maryland State Championship. And Roman was able to finish 8th, and that gives him enough points to finish 3rd for the Maryland State Championship. Good job with that. And the way it ended up on day 1 and day 2, which gives Brian Johnson the overall win. I got 2nd on day 1 of the US Sprint Enduro and 3rd on day 2, but with the time that I made up on day 1, I was able to finish 2nd for the US Sprint Enduro for the weekend. And Joel, he was 3rd on day 1 and 2nd on day 2. He was able to come home 3rd. So the way the cross test was laid out, you went out all the way to the end of the property. I could keep up with Brian pretty well all the way out, but on the way back, he would gain on me every time. And this section was a little rougher. I may have been a little more cautious, But for the most part, I think I need to get my bike to feel a little better in the rough stuff. This down through here was pretty rough. I was wanting to make sure that I didn't go down. But this is where I decided that yes, I need to get something done. This 2020 Beta 430 RR race has KYB forks, and for the most part it was pretty good stock, but there are spots where I know it can be better. So it's time to get some suspension work done on the 430.
So in the Maryland Off-Road Championship, you had to do a GP, a sprint, and a cross-country. So this was, I've competed in the two, and this would be the cross-country round, or the sprint round. So I was able to wrap up that championship, which was pretty cool. And then I had already wrapped up the US Sprint Enduro Championship, and now I'm working with the SXCS, which right now I'm first in points. This is a 6 round, so I think if my calculations and understanding of it, there's 9 races and you have 5 to qualify for points, and you have 2 throwaways. So this is my 6th race, and I'll finish out the year with that and see how that goes, and then it's on to the pit cross, which I'm excited about. So it was a good day. I finished 2nd in the US Sprint for the weekend, and on Sunday I was 3rd in the SXCS. There was 5 in my class, and I want to say a shout out to Olivia Redmond, where she got on her bike. The Enduro was pretty technical, and she did the lap on Sunday and really did well. So I'm really proud of her for getting out of her comfort zone and getting those experiences that she needs to keep going. So good job, Olivia.
So it's time to go back to the truck, think about what I need to do to try to gain a few seconds here and there. Mainly, the main goal is not to crash. So this is the last Enduro of the day. I survived the entire weekend. I just got to get through this entire Enduro course without hitting a tree or screwing up, and I should be setting pretty good for both the US Sprint Enduro as far as finishing 2nd for the year. I should have enough points to wrap up the US or the SXCS, and I definitely should have the points to finish the Maryland State Championship. So let's hit the track and see how much has changed since day 1. So as you can see, the US Sprint Enduro gives you several lines throughout the woods, but by this time we all have our lines picked out that we want to take, and it's basically who can do it the quickest without making mistakes. This was a little slick through there. As you can see, I just about slid out. And this was a little slick from here, probably for about the next quarter of a mile. A lot of rocks, a lot of roots. Of course, the video doesn't show you how slick it actually is. I had went wide on day 1 because a lot of people was crashing on this off camber. But on day 2, I'd walked down and seen that it had a nice shelf rut down across the bottom, so I stayed down low. Here's a little bit of a faster section. Crew rooting me on, trying not to do something stupid. People look at me and laugh. Twist on the throttle. I hope these videos are somewhat useful for you. I try to give you a full lap of no matter what type of race we're doing, what format. This is the US Sprint Enduro. They're about 3.5 mile loops or laps, so they're fairly quick. So I give you one of each on each day. The US Sprint Enduro is a 2-day event. You'll have 3 cross tests, 3 enduro on each day, so that's 12 tests. I just try to pick out the ones that I feel that will benefit you the most. I'll show you the first ones, and this is the last enduro. As you can see, the track is beat in pretty good. We all pretty much know where every root, every rock, but you never know what might catch you off guard. This was my favorite section of the track. I think if I could get my bike to feel better, I've always liked rocks, but these seem to be slick and I could never get my bike to feel good. Now, without saying, now I did have the Beta 300RR feeling pretty good, but as you don't know because I haven't completed the video yet. But at the cross country round 5, this is round 6, so I skipped round 5, then I'm gonna come back and bring you round 5. But you'll find out that the 300RR, for a long time I was having problems with it shutting off, but I raced like snowshoe and went to Hatfields for a week and had no problems with it. Thought I had the problem resolved, but on the morning race I was running in the overall and the bike started shutting off again. So I did put a new stator in it, but I did not trust it for this weekend since this race event was so important for the Maryland State Championship. I went to the 430 and so I had to run it instead of the 300. We're coming into one of the rocky sections that I just went fast enough to where I wouldn't hit a tree. But for the pros, Lane Michael was able to hold off Thad Duvall on day 2, and Liam Draper came in 3rd. Austin was 4th, and on the Pro 2 guys, Johnny Gerard was rolling. Ben Nico was 2nd. Jesse Ansley was 3rd. Evan Smith was 4th. Brandon Poling was 5th, and Michael McLean was 6th. And in the Pro Women, we had Brandy. She's won her 2nd. She won the last 2, as Brandon Richards, and Rachel Archer was able to come home 2nd. Rachel Gudish was 3rd. Brittany was 4th, and Elizabeth was 5th. Good job to all the pros that came out. It's awesome to see them go out and hit these tracks, make us all look slow. Can't wait to see next year to see how well they do. We're coming up to mile 2. The US Sprint Enduro crew came out and made it a little wider. It got pretty rough through here. The entire weekend I only went down one time. That was a pretty slow crash. I basically just washed out the front end in a turn on one of the rocks. So I was okay with that. But as I was saying, we are Trail Seeker Adventures. Make sure you check us out we have Facebook, Instagram, but most of all on YouTube. You can go in and pick out what you're interested in. We have several different categories. We have ride parks, we have race events, mountain biking, trail rides. Just pick out what you're interested in and see what videos we have for each category. But mostly we've been doing race events. We've done GNCC, we've done US Sprint Enduro, SXCS, New East Coast, Mountain State Hare Scramble. If any of those you're curious about what they're all about, watch our videos. We try to give you as many pointers as we can to help you when you get to the event. You know what is going on and what to expect. We've been to Hatfield McCoy's, several different trails you can go in and see where we been riding there. We've been out west. If you ever wonder what it's like to go out west and ride on some of the mountains out there, we got a video for that. We've been to snowshoe downhill mountain biking. We've been to snowshoe ski resort. Just make sure you check us out, like and subscribe to our channel. You can subscribe by, if you're on a mobile device, the little red logo at the bottom right hand corner. Click that, scroll up till you see our logo, push it, and then subscribe. Or go to our YouTube channel and push our logo, and then go and you can push the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, but I also want to put out a big thanks to the ones that put the extra effort, that comes over and tells us, you know, they enjoy our video, keep up the good work. That means so much to me, because to be honest with you, I truly do not enjoy doing these videos. I just want to be able to put out something so you all can find an event, or if you have raced the event, that you can come and show your friends the track or the race that you were out, whether it's a family member. But once again, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe to our channel. That helps me know that I'm doing something that might help somebody find a track or a trail that's suitable for them. Thank you so much. You can subscribe to our channel by pushing the logo in the middle of the page, or hit the next video that might be interesting to you. Thanks for watching.